Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Learn GCP with Mahesh. So in our today's video in Think and Design in GCP video series, this is the question. The current architecture looks like this, where you have a Google Cloud Storage bucket and you upload CSV files into it, and periodically a Python program which is running on a compute engine reads this, transforms it, does some transformation and writes that data into a Cloud SQL instance. This is the current architecture. Everything is working wonderfully fine. Things are good so far. Now you get a email from Google, something like this, where it mentions there's a change in the IP address. So this is the email which indicates starting from January 2020, external IP address would be charged. Uh, Unused IP address, there's a change, and the details are coming here. So now the customer looking at this email, he calls up you and says, do we have any impact on this email? Now looking at this architecture, definitely you will think this may definitely have an impact. So the reason is, if you look into the architecture, you see we have a bucket, all good. We have a compute engine which is using external IP address. We have a Cloud SQL instance again using an external IP address. So what this indicates is definitely this mail has an impact. The change will have an impact. So from January 2020, this could have a issue. Now, as a cloud architect, what would be your suggestion? So looking into this architecture, what are the activities which you are supposed to do? So what would be the thought process and how will you re-architect your design? So if you want to think about the solution, pause the video and let me know the solution in the comment window. And as I usually mention, the solution which I'm trying to propose is not the best solution. It is one of the possible solutions. So let's get into the solution part. Now, let's start with the component wise. It will be easy. The solution which I'm trying to propose is nothing needs to be done at the Google Cloud Storage bucket because it does not have any IP address. So the first thing which I feel is disable the external IP address. So that is something which you need to do. And similarly, you need to disable the external IP address of this one and enable private IP address. So that is something which you need to do. Before doing all those things, everything starts with VPC. So because Google Cloud Storage and the compute engine, they try to communicate using external IP address if you have not enabled private Google access. So this is our VPC. That is what is our compute engine connected to. And if you go to the subnetwork, click on the subnetwork, you will see Google private access is turned off. If it is turned off, the moment you turn on the external IP address, you will not be able to connect to your Google Cloud Storage bucket. So now the first step is make sure you enable private Google access. This is the step number one. Once it is done, go to your compute engine and disable your external IP address. Click on the virtual machine, edit it, and you can go to your networking option and make your external IP address none. Click done and you should be all good. Click done and save it. All good. Now come to your Google Cloud, to your Cloud SQL instance. Now usually the IP address would be whitelisted. So if you see that it will be whitelisted, click on the connections. The external IP address will be whitelisted. Now there's no external IP address itself. So why do you need to keep it? So delete this IP address. That is the next step. Uncheck this public IP address. You don't need to have it. You need to have a private IP address. Enable the API. This is one-time activity. Enable it. This will make sure you will have a internal IP address, something which we had discussed in our previous videos on how to create Cloud SQL instance with internal IP address. It is the same thing which we are doing now. So it has come up now. So Let's use the allocated one. Let me click on this, click and allocate. All right, the public IP address is removed and the CloudSQL instance will have only the private IP address. So we have tried to achieve everything. So for the bucket and the compute engine, private Google access is enabled. For the compute engine and the CloudSQL, we have enabled private IP address and we have also removed the authorized network. So everything is now internal IP address. So what we'll do is let's try to log into our virtual machine and see whether everything is working fine or not. So first step is let's try to copy this file into our into our instance and see whether it is working or not. So we have logged in into our this thing. So let me clear the screen and run gsutil copy learn hyphen GCP with Mahesh slash demo.csv. Let's see whether it will work. gsutil cp. So it's copied. You see the file is copied, so that the first part is working fine. Then the second part is let's see whether we are able to log into this or connect to this database. All right, this is the command. So we are using the internal IP address to connect. Let's see whether it will work. Good. So we are able to log in, and if we see the databases, you should be able to see the databases, which indicates we have able to successfully log in using the internal IP address. All good. So let's exit. Now assume in the future, in the near future, you want to change something in this transformation, the Python transformation, for which you need to have some new Python module. So you need to connect to the internet to install that module. But before that, you need to update your operating system. You want to update it. So let's try to update it and see what happens. It's connecting, but not fully. So you see, you're not able to even update the patch when you disable the external IP address. Now, what's the solution? The solution is you need to have a cloud NAT. So because your instance does not have external IP address, you need to have either an external IP address or cloud NAT. So as per this thing, if you see, cloud NAT is now becoming cheaper after 2020. So let's use cloud NAT quickly and see whether we are able to achieve the updating of our virtual machine. So demo NAT Mumbai, VPC Mumbai, and the region has to be Mumbai. And let's create a router quickly, demo CR, and click create, and let's leave everything default and click create. Alright, the cloud NAT is running, so let's see whether we are able to update our operating system. So if I now run it, you should be able to update the operating system, and you can be able to install whatever the module you want using pip. All good. So far we have achieved everything what is required after the changes, what and all necessary things we have done it. So as a bonus point, what I would say is, because going forward external IP address would be definitely charged, so why to create this kind of an issue? Because here there was no policy. That's the reason whenever the developer or the DevOps team tried to create the virtual machine, the external IP address was created. Instead of that, if we can put a policy, organizational policy, that no virtual machine should be allocated with an external IP address, this problem will not arise in the near future also. So that is the bonus tip which I wanted to give. Now just a recap, the solution which we tried to propose was we enabled private Google access, and for Cloud SQL we enabled private IP address. So the steps which we did, we enabled private Google access so that the communication between Google Cloud Storage and Compute Engine can use internal IP address. That is the first thing. Second, remove the external IP address for our Compute Engine and remove that authorization in our Cloud SQL instance also. Disable the public IP address for Compute Engine, and for our Cloud SQL instance enable private IP address, which took a good amount of time. And lastly, we also provision Cloud NAT so that we can update any necessary softwares in the near future. And as a best policy, so if in the upcoming time, if there's any new VMs provision, those VMs should not be allocated with an external IP address. That we achieved by putting an organizational policy. So that's the solution which I wanted to propose. Hope the video is helpful. Thank you for watching.